Welcome to Listertainment, the channel whose name only lets you down. In this video, we will be looking at 10 fighters who were accused of racism and what happens when they lose to a member of the group they supposedly hate. To be honest, most of these cases are people just being a little bit too sensitive, and I don't believe them to actually be racist. But if there is a chance that they actually are racist, it feels pretty good to watch them lose against the group they feel that they are superior to. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and be sure to turn on those notifications. And let me know in the comments, how do you feel about these fighters and their accusations? Jack Johnson was the first black heavyweight champion of the world, and he did it in 1908, when racism in boxing and the United States was extremely prevalent as the champions were divided by race. Johnson tried to fight Jeffries, the white champion at that time, before this, but he refused every single time. Although Johnson was able to beat him after he became champion, and Jeffries came out of retirement since there was nobody that could beat Johnson. And then he also lost and even got knocked down for the first time in his career. He got the championship from Tommy Burns, who at first refused, calling black people cowards. But he was the one refusing to fight, so he was the coward actually. When the fight finally happened, Burns got a real good beatdown, but police stopped the fight right before Johnson was about to knock him out in the 15th round. And to be clear, these people are racists.
Absolutely defenseless, just seconds before the police stopped the motion picture cameras and entered the ring to halt this very one-sided fight. Jack Johnson becomes heavyweight champion of the world, December 26, 1908.
Tito Ortiz is an MMA fighter who was accused of racism after he decided to defend Hulk Hogan, who made racist remarks when he believed his daughter might have been dating a black man. He even used the N-word in his racist tirade. Tito came out in full force to defend Hulk Hogan, saying that he's not racist, that they were only words, and that they don't hurt anybody, as the saying goes. But those words of course hurt, since Hogan is saying that white women should not be dating black men. Unfortunately, Tito's loss occurred before he defended Hogan, but he did get destroyed by Rashard Evans back in 2011. And to be clear, I don't believe he's racist. He was just defending his friend, but sometimes you just have to step back and maybe support him privately, because a public defense doesn't help you at all, especially since the remarks were extremely racist. Mike Perry is a UFC fighter who's been accused of racism multiple times in his career. In his first ever fight, his corner was yelling racist remarks to his Asian opponent. Then later, he used an Indian hairdress to cut a promo before he fought Cowboy Cerrone. The most obvious one was when he decided to possibly use blackface on his Instagram. He even included the N-word in his hashtags and says that he is legally allowed to use the N-word because he's 2% black according to his DNA test. For God's sakes, we're all allowed to use the N-word. It's not illegal. How dumb can you be? But you shouldn't be saying it if you're not black. Anyway, he got a beating from Jeff Neal in his most recent fight in 2019 when he got knocked out in the first round. A lot of the things he's done are possibly racist, but at best it's highly inappropriate for a public figure to be doing, especially if you want to make money.
To see how he sizes up the style of Mike Perry. Mike Perry, oh, big high kick. He hurt him. He hurt back.
The great Bernard Hopkins was accused of racism back in 2007 before his fight against Joe Calzaghe.
I would never let a white boy beat me. I would never let a white boy beat me.
When they were promoting the fight, they met in a media interview and started yelling at each other, throwing insults and taunting each other. This is when the famous lines came from Hopkins, who said, "You're not even in my league. I would never let a white boy beat me. I would never lose to a white boy." Of course, he went on to lose that fight against Joe Calzaghe by unanimous decision. He did lose one more time to another white fighter by decision against Kovalev, but the best loss was his last one when he was knocked out by Joe Smith Jr. I don't think Hopkins is actually racist. I think it's more of a self-criticism of his own race of being tough and slick fighters, since he said similar things about a black fighter being able to beat Pacquiao, and that Donovan McNabb in the NFL was not black enough.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Adrien Broner has been accused of racism and was even punished by the WBC. After he beat Carlos Molina, he said, "I just beat the crap out of a Mexican. Anybody can get it."
Man, anybody can get it. Africans, I just beat the fuck out of a Mexican. No, come on.
The problem was that he was the previous WBC champion, which is based in Mexico, so they said that unless he apologized, he would not fight in another one of their fights again. To be honest, I don't think he's racist. Even the remarks are nowhere near being racist, and this is coming from a Mexican. It's just a descriptive word of one of my nationalities, and I'm proud to be Mexican, so it doesn't offend me at all. But he did finally lose to a Mexican when he lost convincingly against Mikey Garcia in 2017 by unanimous decision. It was very satisfying to watch, but only because Broner has a giant mouth and I love to see him lose, not because of what he said. This is probably the dumbest one on this list.
We are in a Japanese meat market. They're checking out what they're gonna eat.
Daron Cruickshank was in Japan in a pet shop when he made the crude remarks that they were in the Japanese meat market, implying of course that Asians eat dogs. Of course he meant this as a joke and it's not actually racist, but it wasn't a funny joke. There are ways to joke about everything and he is just not very good at it. Anyways, later that same year, he fought in Japan against Goiti Yamauchi and was defeated in the first round via a rear naked choke. He's also lost plenty of times against other Japanese fighters, but this one is pretty satisfying.
You can get a better look at it. To the left of your screen there coming in. Check on DiVincenzo. Try the screen. Where's the football game? Vincenzo, Ilya Silva. Is everything going out of black?
Renzo Gracie put a video online showing him playing with a younger member of his family, and they were doing the slanted eye pose while imitating an Asian accent. I don't believe he's actually racist, he's just incredibly ignorant about offensive things towards the Asian community. Especially since, according to him, a Japanese man named Mitsuyo Maeda is the person who first taught jiu-jitsu to his grandfather and granduncle, which they later adapted to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. They owe everything they have to this Japanese man. Maybe he was remembering that one time when he was destroyed by Kazushi Sakuraba by Kimura back in 2000. He was still a bit angry about Sakuraba dislocating his arm. Conor McGregor is a very brash person and is very good at trash talking. But he's had a couple of examples where he uses racist terms to make fun of his opponents. The first one was when he made fun of Nate Diaz and called him a cholo gangster from the hood.
I like him. He's like a little cholo gangster from the hood.
But then he got beat by Nate Diaz, which was pretty nice.
Oh, he got him with the good one there. He hurt him with that left. It's all over. Nate Diaz.
But the latest was his hype against Mayweather, where he kept calling him boy. Which has been used in the past by white men to deride black men of all ages. Although I think we all remember the fight between Rod Salka and Francisco Vargas back in 2018, when Salka decided to enter the ring wearing shorts with an image of the border wall and writing that said America First. The shorts clearly refer to the anti-immigration talk by President Trump. He was accused of racism since he decided to pull this stunt when he was fighting a Mexican boxer. Vargas said that he used the imagery as extra motivation during the fight and was really surprised to see his opponent wearing the shorts. He really did use it as motivation as he beat the crap out of Salka and won the fight in the 6th round after Rod Salka quit in his corner. People made so much fun of him after this, and he hasn't fought since. I don't think he's actually racist, just a really big fan of Trump.
Entrenadores Joel, Toño, preparador físico Daron, hicimos un gran trabajo, estoy muy contento. Quería darles una buena pelea a toda la afición que vino a ver la pelea y espero que les haya gustado esta actuación.
I felt like I wanted to put on a good show. I did that.
So this one is the latest one, where Colby Covington, who apparently uses a racist persona to sell fights. He plays a staunch Trump supporter and has said many racist things, starting with saying that all Brazil is a dump and calling them animals.
I should have knocked him out! Brazil, you're a dump! All you filthy animals suck! I got one thing to say!
Then before his fight with Kamaru Usman, he said that Usman's family has done nothing for this country but serve in the federal penitentiary, which is a very obvious racist stereotype. It's hard to believe he would take the persona so far, but he started this when he was about to get cut from the UFC, where he was previously known as the nicest guy ever. So he changed and became more controversial and managed to stay. But him getting destroyed by Usman, who gave him a broken jaw, was a thing of beauty.
Just a cannon straight down the middle. Sits Colby down. Colby's in survival mode here. And look at the second one. Boom!
Now Usman's seeing everything now.
Many of these accusations are just people being too sensitive, and a lot of them are just fighters trying to sell tickets and themselves so they can get rich. But a few on this list have a high chance of being racist, and them getting beat by a group they hate is karma paying them back. Thanks for watching. See you next time.